Hello and welcome to the second part of my build series on the Tamiya TT01E AMG Mercedes-Benz, covering the second half of parts bag A.
Steps 6 and 7 are installing the rear diff and then installing the diff cover and the rear suspension arms. And for step 6 we're going to need a BB1 plastic bearing. I've got the 1150 metal ones, and then RB2, which are the 1280 metal bushings, but I've got the roller bearings or the ball bearing for that. And then on the plastic parts we're going to need GB1, which is the bevel pinion gear, and it's a case of taking the 1150 bearing, if you can pick it up, which I don't seem to be able to do, and getting it and popping it in on like so, and then getting the bevel gear and spinning it round until it locates on the slotted edges. And then we get the two 1280 bearings, pop them on. Nice snug fit. And then it pops in like so and should locate eventually. Yep, that's it. We located and spinning. And then we've got a note here that says for some mounting of some of these parts it's easier to do it with the chassis upright, so that's what we're going to do. As you can tell, I've not greased them up yet. I'm just going to dry fit these and go around and grease them off camera, because I don't think you want to see me slapping grease on stuff. So for part 7 we're going to need 3 off, which I've only got 2 out. Blooming typical, I was reading the wrong thing. We need 2 off of MA1s, which are 3 by 15mm tapping screws, and as you can see they're the darker colours denoted by a shaded screw, and 1 off of MA2, which is the 3 by 12mm tapping screw. And on the plastic parts we're going to need B4, B14, 2 off of each, A10, which looks like it's going to be the shock mount, and then the diff case A9. And again it's telling you to grease various parts. These obviously are supposed to be bearing, shall we say, so we'll do that afterwards again off camera, and then we mount these two. So it is a case of getting your lower arms and following this diagram. There is a note about if you want to, or if you've got a short wheelbase body, to swap the orientation round. But looking at this, we pop that one in there. Oh, I've missed something here. I've missed A5 as well. So I think we'll get back to that in a second, just once I've cut it out. Okay, so this is part A5, and this I believe will slot in here like so. No screws at the minute according to this, so we'll get back to the fiddly task of shall we say trying to mount this. There we go. And then again, looking at the orientation, we pop that one in there, and the same on the bottom and the top, like so. And then it's just a case of trying to get all these lined up and popped in like so, and then screw it all together. So I'll get greasing up and show you once I've done it. And here we have it all mounted. So we got the top and lower A-arms and the diff housing, the shop mount, and this other mount that I'm kind of assuming will get screwed in at some point. And so we're ready for the next step. Step 8 is making up the rear axles, and step 9 is attaching the rear bumper housing or bumper mount. For step 8 we're going to need 2 off of the 1150 bearings, RB1 if you're using the plastic ones, 2 off of C2, which are the wheel hubs or wheel axles as they're calling them, and plastic parts 2 off of A6. And then something that isn't in the manual but I always tend to use, because we're not going to install these straight away, is I've got a couple of R-clips to just hold them in place, and it's a simple case of getting a bearing, popping it on the axle, popping it through and pressing it home, and wow, that's nice. That is a nice tight fit for an R of that inner bearing. And then we put the R-clip on, and the same again. Yeah, another really nice tight fit there. And the R-clip, and that's step 8 done. Not a lot to it. Step 9, we're going to need 3 off of MA3, which are 3x10mm tapping screws, and 2 off of MA4, which are 3x12mm countersunk tapping screws, and then plastic parts B6, which is a bumper mount, and I think this is universal, it goes on the front as well. So you could actually, I think, get another one of these urethane bumpers and pop it on the back as well. But I've only got the one so far, so I'll leave that for the front. And then we get the chassis, pop it over, and it simply clicks into place there like so. And we use the countersink screws here and the ordinary screws on this one. So again, I'll get back to you once I've done that. Right, so I've just dropped the chassis. Rear bumper holders now fitted and ready to go, and we can swiftly move on to the last 2 steps in this video, which are steps 10 and 11. Now for steps 10 we're going to need MA5 2 off 3x10mm countersunk tap screws, MA9 2 off 3x32mm screw pins, MA10 2 times 3x22mm screw pins, 2 times C1 the drive shafts or dog bones, and 2 times C3, which are the gearbox joints, which I've not seen these type before, with 2 mounting possibilities, so that's something new to me. And from the previous steps we've got the rear axles, and then the plastic parts are, for my body, are B2 because I think this is the longer wheelbase, and I've just had a check of my body shell guide, and it shows these extended body mounts, so those are those. And it points out to grease the ends of the dog bones and the inner gearbox joints, but as I've got ball bearings I'm not going to do that, and to save me getting a bit too messy, what I've actually done is I've greased the cups ready. And also, rather than using the MA9 screw pin, I've managed to find these stainless steel hop-up bars spare. So they're the right size, so I'm going to be using them, and we'll start off with one of those, I think. Kind of. I think what I'll do first is put one of these gearbox housings in. There we go, that's nicely in. And then we need to check the orientation, and we have the wider mount point at the bottom, like so. And it's quite a snug fit, not much play there at all, and hopefully I can get this in through the back, he says. Possibly not. Nope. So we'll go through the front. There we go. And then we just wiggle round until we get it through, and that's quite a big space, but hey, I don't think it matters too much how much it slides, as long as it's holding it, and there isn't much play, if any, in that joint there, so I'll get the E-clip on that once I've finished the rest of it, and then it's for this just a case of installing a dog bone. Oops. Getting it all in place. Slotting that through, it says, like that, screwing that in, and from looking at this, there is square slots in the upper, what looks like to be the shock mount, ready to mount these up, so they just go on like so. And we use the self tappers, strangely, but there we go, and screw all that together. So I'll be back shortly. And here we have the finished drivetrain. And the body mounts, and fairly freely moving kind of thing. And the very last step in this video is step 11, which weirdly for this, for parts bag A, is making up part of the front arms, or adding this item here, P7, which is a ball joint, into B9 and B10, and basically it says to grease them. So again, to try and not get too much grease and stuff on me fingers, I've greased the actual A-arm, and then it's intimating that you put them like so and press it in and then swivel it round. And I don't know, is that going to be, no. What's this one like? Is this any better? Yeah, that's a better fit. I've got to say, it feels like a better fit than the TT02 one. So we'll wait and see when we get these on in the next video. So I think that completes it. We've done all 1 to 11. So I hope you enjoyed watching and look forward to seeing you on the next one for Parts Pack B. Cheers, bye.